Holy Diver is a bit of a special game. It's our first member of the 10,000 Yen Club. In other words, if you went to a store specializing in old games, you could expect to spend at least 10,000 yen on a cartridge-only copy. Which isn't to say that there aren't deals out there, and Holy Diver is right on the edge of the 10,000 Yen Club. But it is our first game where if I saw a copy for 10,000 yen, I'd go, yeah, that makes sense. There's only around 25 or so members of that 10,000 Yen Club as well. As a rule, these are all exceptionally rare games, though not necessarily good games. And Holy Diver is strange in another way. I think that Holy Diver is better known in the US than it is in Japan. In the US, Holy Diver picked up a reputation of that ultra-hard Famicom game that's a bit like Castlevania and is based on heavy metal music. It was so well known that in 2018 it finally got an NES release. While in Japan, Holy Diver is known as, there's a game called Holy Diver? There's no Wikipedia page for it, only perfunctory listings on Japanese gaming websites, and I'm going to quote the entire entry for it in my Famicom guidebook. A fantasy horror action game with the goal of defeating the Demon King. Similar to Castlevania. The difficulty is very high. I'm used to this kind of disparity running the other way. The well-known and regarded game in Japan being totally unknown outside of the country. The story of Holy Diver is that Prince Randy has to go rescue his brother Prince Zack from the clutches of the Crimson King. You have to make your way through 6 long platforming stages in order to save your brother and the world. The controls are simple enough: A jumps, B attacks. Your basic attack is a fireball, and you can mash that B button to throw them pretty quickly. You can also fire upward in Holy Diver, though not down. The world's broken up into small segments, and it is possible to backtrack, but it's really not worth it to do that. You're more likely to backtrack by getting knocked back by an enemy. And that's one of the big things you're going to notice in Holy Diver. The knockback is huge. Making contact with any enemy will send you flying. It's not uncommon to get knocked back into a hole or into another enemy that hits you again. Your life bar isn't particularly long either. It moves in half steps, but a lot of enemies do extra damage too. Fortunately, you do have a few special abilities. You switch between your regular attack and your equipped magic spell by pressing select. If you're bright blue, then your magic is active. You start out with a spell that will let you shoot 2 fireballs through a wall. It's very handy for taking out enemies in a hard-to-reach place. After you defeat the first boss, you'll get the Blizzard spell. That will freeze the world, turning lava into ice blocks that you can smash, and stopping smaller enemies in their tracks. Larger enemies will just keep coming at you though. Breaker lets you fire a stream of shots off. It's your powerful attack. There's more spells past that, but I didn't get to them because this is a very hard game. Along your journey, you'll also find some power-ups. You'll find things that you wear just sitting around on some stages. The bracelet is what lets your shots break bricks, and the boots give you a high jump. There's also equipment that halves your magic usage and increases your defense. Naturally, you'll find health and magic recovery drops. The bottles restore you to full, and those consistently drop from the same enemies. These bottles will permanently increase your health meter, while the wings will increase your maximum magic. On later stages, some enemies drop an item that turns you into a dragon, just in case you needed a reminder that this was a game based on heavy metal music. Holy Diver really is an amazingly difficult game. Its reputation is well deserved. The thing is, the level design comes from cruelty in level design and enemy placement. They're not hitting you with random guys out of nowhere. They're placing enemies exactly where you need to be, using patterns that are difficult to avoid, and they let you see those blows coming. You've got the tools to mitigate a lot of it, but Holy Diver still wants you to demonstrate a ton of skill to be able to make it through even the first level. This is a game that harshly punishes every mistake that you make. and if you're going to beat it, you have to be really good. It's definitely a game where I get the impression that the developers built a game to challenge themselves. They made a game that they found to be difficult as they were playing it over and over again. Holy Diver is kind of rough around the edges. It doesn't look as sharp or play as smooth as some of its contemporaries. And in an era where super difficult games meant things that were challenging due to shoddy design, it might be why Holy Diver didn't make much of an impact in Japan. I couldn't even find a contemporary review for it in Famitsu. I think time has actually been kind to Holy Diver. Now it exists as some kind of ultimate challenge of the 8-bit era. The final test of your gaming skills. I'm not going to say it's the most difficult Famicom game. After all, we've already seen a game that was unbeaten for 20 years due to bugs. I would call it the hardest playable Famicom game, though. I don't know if I'll ever beat it, but I'm definitely going to try again.